to handle those as best I can. And so today, I want to introduce you to Melissa. And Melissa Atterbury is a graduate of Sam Houston State University, where she earned a master's degree in education with an emphasis in instructional technology. Her previous experience includes serving as a teacher for 6 years, providing staff development providing staff development and educational technologies for schools, and she served as the learning specialist for math and science in the Spring ISD Virtual School. She's currently an instructional designer for Lone Star College, as you are about to see, and you're about to see what she does at Lone Star College as a part of her presentation. So, Melissa.
Yes.
I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay.
And take it away.
Okay, like you said, I work for Lone Star College as an instructional designer, and what we do is we will either work with faculty to build their courses, or we might work with subject matter experts, a variety of them, to build courses that can be used across the entire system. And today I'm going to show 3 different examples of what we have done here using publisher content, e-textbooks, and content from professors. And I think we do have a poll that we were going to start with. Do you have that?
That's true. Let me open that up. And one last poll. And you're going to learn about some of the resources that Melissa uses, but we are interested in what our clients are doing.
So this can kind of give me an idea of where you guys are coming from.
And this is a multiple answer, so we're assuming that some of you have done all of the above. But just click on all those links and we'll see. About 3/4 of you have voted, so I'm going to close the poll, give another few seconds for those of you who haven't processed the poll yet. Okay, I'm going to close it now and share it. Publisher EPACs 48%, Learning Object Repositories 49%, other websites 74%, video, flash objects and images 89%, and e-text 37%. So there's a lot of use of other kinds of content.
All right, good. So you guys are really familiar with all this stuff. All right, well, I'm going to start out and just kind of go over the EPAC first. And this right here was a psychology course that I built. And when I was working with the subject matter expert, she wanted to use a particular EPAC that came from Cengage. So when I got the EPAC, this is what it looked like. And you can see it's just a big, long list of different files. You know, so if you open one up, this one is actually a Word document. So you would have to download the Word document. And then as a student, you would go back and you might open the glossary. And luckily, this one isn't a Word document. It will open straight on the screen, but it does take a little while. So if you were a student, you would have to click through these separate things to find what it was you were looking for. So what I did was I actually got permission from the publisher to package it up into a SoftChalk. And so now, instead of a big long list, I have just Chapter 2 resources here. By putting it in the SoftChalk, I was able to add pictures to make it a little bit more interesting. And now they can just simply click through to find all of the different resources. And the glossary, I actually used the bookmark feature in SoftChalk to make it to where you can jump around in the glossary. And that way you're not having to scroll down if you were looking for a particular word. I thought that was kind of made it a little bit more interactive there. I was also able to load up the PowerPoint that came along with it and the concept maps that come along with the EPAC, so that those are also right there. So all of the student resources are just found in one particular place, this SoftChalk. This right here, you know that SoftChalk does make flashcards, but since the EPAC came with flashcards, what I did was I actually used an HTML iframe code and embedded their flashcards straight into SoftChalk using the widget feature. And when I was talking to Steve earlier, he was like, oh, that's interesting, you know, how did you do that? So, you know, I thought I would share with you guys how I did that. When I went to the publisher's flashcards, you have to wait for it to load. I just simply copy the URL, and I go to this HTML iframe code generator. I paste my URL in there, and I can choose my size of my box. And I hit generate. And it creates that code right there that I could put straight into the widget. So I didn't really have to memorize the iframe code or anything. I just kind of used the generator, generate that code for me. You can use this for any website. So you can embed any kind of website straight into SoftChalk, which I'll show you some more examples of that. And I'll show you this website again later too. So their flashcards are in there, and now I'm not in my SoftChalk. So everything is found all in one little place for the students, and instead of a big long list, because I mean, if you can imagine adding assignments and discussion boards and everything on top of all of that, your list is going to get really, really long. And this is taking a while. So that was just packaging up the EPAC, just the student resources, not really adding anything else to it. And you know, you could add different activities if you wanted to, but that was just student resources by itself. The next one I wanted to show was a student orientation. And this is my math lab, because here at Lone Star we use Angel, but my math lab is Pearson. So it's a completely different LMS than what our students are used to. So the professor of this particular class had a student orientation that he had created that he used. And it was a PDF, and I just want to kind of open that up and show you what it looked like as a PDF. So as you can see, this PDF is 25 pages long, and it's pretty good. You know, it has all the screenshots that you would need and all of the information that as you scroll through, you would be able to learn how to navigate through my math lab. So what I did was I took his PDF and all of his content and everything, and I put it into a SoftChalk instead. So as you can see, it's exactly the same, except on some of these, I actually added the rollover. So as you roll over the picture, you're able to see what the different areas are. So it makes it a little bit more interactive there. So here's another rollover. So as they roll over, they can, you know, instead of having all those separate screenshots going down a page, now it's a rollover that has the definitions right where you would need them. Another thing I added, again using that iframe, I think I saw it. In my math lab, they have the student help, so I used the iframe, and I put that student help right in here. So this is completely interactive from that website, and now they don't have to search for it in my math lab. It's right here if they were looking for a question and answer. And what was really neat about using this for an orientation is you can kind of test the understanding of the students. You know, you have your regular, you know, quiz me type questions, but down here I used a hotspot so that they would have to answer questions where, this button will perform a browser check to make sure your computer has all the necessary plugins for the course. So if they click in the wrong area, it tells them it's the incorrect answer. And if they click on the right answer, so you can actually kind of judge and see, did my students actually learn what they needed to learn? You could make one with a discussion board saying, what do you push in order to start a new thread type thing. So if there was something that you knew your students were having trouble with, having that hotspot type question, I think really kind of helps, because it kind of forces them to pay attention. So that one, also we have links here, to anything with the Lone Star College that they might need. So all of their information and orientation and everything is right here in this one SoftChalk, which is a little bit more interactive and a little bit easier to read than 25 pages of a PDF. Now this last one is probably my favorite one. And this one was for a history course. And I found a professor from Virginia online that had written his own textbook. And he had it out there online. He now has it as a part of Connections, and I think it might be a part of Merlot also. And so he wrote the textbook because, he was tired of high-priced textbooks, and it was out there for anyone to use. So I kind of emailed him and asked him, if we could partner together and if I would be able to use all of his stuff and do with it what I wanted. And, we could pay him a small stipend. And he was like, sure, no problem. And, I told him, and once I have it all done, I'll give you everything that I create. So he was really excited. So when he sent me his stuff, here it is in PDF. So you can see the original textbook form. This is one chapter. So, you can imagine reading this online and all of this scrolling that you would have to do and all of this text. And I don't know about you, but I'd be going, ooh, too many words. So I took his book and I put it in SoftChalk. Okay, and this right here, I actually used the Ecourse Builder. And by using that, it automatically makes this table of contents right here, which is absolutely wonderful. It shows you exactly where you are in the SoftChalk. So I took all of his information and I put it in here. I added links out. And I noticed that a lot of times when I put in pictures, if I made the pictures too big, it would kind of mess up the formatting depending on the size of the screen that the student might be using. So I decided that any of my pictures that I felt were really relevant and needed maybe more explanation and everything, that I used that text popper. And so as you roll over the image, it will pop that image up and give them a little bit more information, and they'd be able to see it a little bit better. So if you had a picture that you really wanted them to see more detail of, using that text popper, and then that way it doesn't fill up the entire screen and your text is really little on the side. And another thing that I did was, when I was creating this, I am reading the entire textbook, and I'm going out and I'm finding resources and I'm finding links and I'm finding, different videos and things that I can add to the course. And like this one, it was talking about when the British Prime Minister declared war, I went out and found the actual radio announcement that he did to tell the country that they were now at war with Germany. So it's almost like the students get to experience the history instead of just reading it in a textbook. It's a lot more interactive. Another thing that I found that I thought was useful was that photo album. So you can add more pictures of different events or, on the subject matter. that they can now click through. I mean, what paper textbook has that? And then I found on this one website that has a lot of old newsreels and videos and texts and everything, and this is actually streaming from that website, and it is the actual newsreels that would have appeared back in that time period. So this newsreel was all about Pearl Harbor. So they get to see what the news was, how it was presented to the country, and what they got to see. And here, again, I used that iframe code to embed a website. So this right here is a website from Annenberg, and there is a video here that students can watch. And again, that website is completely interactive right here in the SoftChalk. I'm trying to think, did I miss anything? Oh, I guess I didn't say that when I did add the sound here, I did use a text popper here as well. This is a text popper that has the sound embedded in it. And I used the stick around so that it wouldn't go away and they would have to actually close it. So I'm trying to think, since I actually did this morning, I'm trying to think if I missed anything.
No, actually you included all of it. You went through it very quickly.
I tend to get really fast.
The thing I liked, and you may want to show another example of it, it was when you roll over a small photograph and it pops up. It just sort of like, it really struck out at me that we never do that. I've never thought of doing that. Because you're right, you don't want the photo to take the entire landscape of the page, but you can have it both ways this way.
Yeah, and you can also, like on this photo, the photo is here, but it doesn't really have a lot of information there. But when you roll over it and it pops up to a bigger picture, then there's a whole lot more information about, what this photo is of. So you can either add the captions to the photos, or you can have the captions added using the top part in the text popper.
Right. There's a lot of questions coming in, so maybe we'll take a little bit of time and answer some of those questions, although I'm having a lot of noise on my phone now. Okay, it went away. Maybe in my phone. Don't know what I did with it to make the noise comes across, though. There's questions about, several questions about copyright permission. Did you have permission from Annenberg to use it? Did you get permission from the publishers when you converted the content and used some of them as widgets when you inserted them with your iframe content? I mean, talk about the copyright issue with all of that.
The copyright, when I did like the EPAC and everything, I did get permission from Cengage to be able to take that EPAC and put it into a SoftChalk. So that one I did ask for permission. I didn't change any of their content, and if I go back to it, I can show you that I even left their copyright. So if they had copyright Cengage Learning. So I did have their permission to copy all of this into SoftChalk. The textbook, of course, I worked with the author of the textbook, so he gave me permission to use all of his stuff. And publishers these days are starting to sell individual digital content. So they'll sell, you can buy some of their flash pieces that they've created or some of their photographs that they have on their file, and you're able to purchase some of them. So this one right here is actually a flash piece from McGraw-Hill that we purchased and that I was able to put straight into SoftChalk.
Are these very pricey? And what kind of permissions are they? So that it's a one-time price and you can use it as often as you want? Or
well, this one,
or?
well, this one here is a special contract that we have with McGraw-Hill, and yeah, I don't need to get into all of how that works, but yeah, you can kind of work with publishers, and they have a variety of different ideas and ways that you would be able to use different content of theirs, and some of them even have courses that they have built. And you can say, okay, well, I like your course, but, I want to break it apart, and I want to use this, and I want to use that, and I want to, And a lot of times you'd be surprised at how much they will work with you on these different things.
There's some questions about my math lab, and whether
Okay.
that was an issue in terms of copyright.
No, it's because all we're doing in my math lab is we're taking those screenshots of the screens to show students how to navigate through the course. And, I have the help in there, but it's directly to their help.
Okay.
So
that made that easy.
Yeah, no. And a lot of the pictures and everything I actually got from Wikimedia Commons, because a lot of them are part of public domain.
Mm.
And either that or we might have purchased from a publisher.
The people were impressed, and your favorite one was the e-text one with the World War II textbook, but because you did a lot of research, the question is, how much time did that really take? Were you able to track that?
Well, that it took time in order to do the research. If you were working with if you were working closer with a professor that wrote their own content and everything, they would maybe have the websites, and I had to do a lot of research to find that and to find pictures and everything, especially since, I'm not a history person. And then once I had it done, I had to go and have it proofread by subject matter experts to make sure that I didn't make, any mistakes or use the wrong websites or anything like that. So it was double-checked, but it did take time to do a lot of that research. And I didn't track it, but I was pleased with the end results because I felt like the textbook was a lot more interactive, and it just kind of came alive. When you get to be able to see and hear the things that happened in that time period, it just, that you never get that from a paper textbook, that interaction. So I was really pleased with the end results. Any other questions?
Oh, there's a lot of them. I'm trying to figure out which order to give them in. Practical question. With the history textbook, which was on a PDF, how did you enter the text from the PDF?
He actually gave it to me in Word. So okay. He gave it to me both ways. I had a PDF copy and I had a Word copy. So I just uploaded the PDF copy because that's what you would have uploaded for the students. So I was kind of wanting to show the student view. And so I was showing the PDF, but he did give it to me in Word. So I was able to copy and paste that over.
Let me ask what LMS you're using, CMS LMS, and
Okay.
You stated at the beginning it was Angel.
Yeah, we are using Angel. And that I just decided to show you exactly, not so much the Angel part, but just what SoftChalk looks like instead of making a PowerPoint, because I wanted to actually be able to click through the SoftChalks to show you the different features that I added in.
There's a question about what your experience is with students that have problems with multiple navigation systems. They've got a navigation for Angel. They may have to use, as you said, Pearson has a different learning management system altogether if you use theirs. And then SoftChalk offers yet a different kind of navigation within any of that. So what are the issues and standards?
One issue that we had, but of course this is, specific to Angel is up here you have this previous and next in Angel. And so anytime I upload a SoftChalk into Angel, I always take out that banner so that that previous and next isn't there. So you only have this previous and next with SoftChalk. And then that way, you know, they're not trying to figure out which one they need to push. But other than that, we haven't had any issues with the navigation.
Question about the size of the EPAC. And I'm not sure exactly what Jean had in mind when she asked that question. But she also said, is there a student login to this course other than the Angel login?
I know exactly what she means here. Let me go back to my EPAC. As you can see, you know, everything here is protected, and we actually, in the actual course, I moved all of this over just for this presentation, but in the actual course, students have to buy an access code. And when they buy this access code, they put the code in one time, and it will unlock the course for them. And the ebook is in there. Of course, the ebook is not in the SoftChalk because publishers don't let you take their textbooks and put them into SoftChalk. It's in a PDF type form, which I'd love to put it in SoftChalk. They just won't let me. But so all of it is locked until they actually purchase that access code. They're not able to view it. They would be able to view these resources since it's not protected, but the resources really aren't anything that is in-depth in content like the ebook is.
There's a question about, so many questions coming in and then they disappear off my screen as I'm ready to ask them. What about entering the access codes to use Cengage items? Do you have any trouble with this?
For the students to enter the access code?
I mean, do they have to, I mean, when the content is in SoftChalk and then you have a Cengage item or object or iframe, will there be extra codes, extra logins they will need to have? I think that's what the question means.
Yeah, no. The students purchase an access code one time, and the very first time they click on something that is by Cengage, they have to put in that access code, and then it never asks them again. It completely unlocks everything for them. And it, you know, because they've already logged in and everything, and so it's like a single sign-on. And Cengage actually did customize this for us. So this is something that you know, we partnered with Cengage to actually create this.
There's questions about paying for the access codes and getting students to have access to them.
In the course, there's a link. There's a couple of different things. There's actually an ISBN number that Cengage created, and they give the bookstore the ISBN number, so the students can either purchase it at the bookstore, and there's a link directly to Cengage for this particular access code that is built into the actual course, and it's on the syllabus and everything. The students would go and purchase the code.
I see. Is there problems with that? At least
No.
one of our users had some issues with it.
No, we haven't had any issues with this. So.
Let's see. Oh, this is kind of an interesting question. With the history textbook, since it's interactive, did you or were you able to allow or create any type of Second Life history or war sites? Had you considered that?
Actually, no, I hadn't considered that, but you know, that would be a very interesting thing to be able to add.
Right, and actually with iframe, you may be able to actually put that Second Life piece right inside the lesson. That's an interesting thing to ponder. Somebody was wondering whether or not you're willing to share the math lab my math lab orientation. You can ponder that.
Yeah, I can talk to the professor that created it, and I can ask him if he would be willing to share that.
Okay, there's some questions about and trying to understand what an EPAC is and how it differs from a course or an e-course or something. Could you sort of show a little bit more or describe a little bit more about EPACs, what you mean by an EPAC?
An EPAC is kind of like a publisher content. A lot of times it comes along with your textbook. And so an instructor will get, you know, CDs or it might be packaged up to go straight into Angel or Blackboard or Moodle or something. And all it is all of their resources and everything that would go along with that textbook. So you might have your PowerPoints. You have these little flash pieces. The chapter media is actually videos, you know. So anything that goes along with that textbook is kind of packaged up as an EPAC. So it's just extra resources above and beyond.
Okay. And there's one practical question. What happens when a link goes bad or goes dead? How difficult is it to change? And that really is as much a question about SoftChalk and how easily editing and authoring is in SoftChalk as anything else. And it's
right.
trivial to do that.
Right. If a link went dead, you would just go in and remove the hyperlink, or you know, you could find a new one. And you know, that does happen all the time. And you know, it's one of those things that it's painful, but you just can't help it. The web's always changing.
Well, there's a debate going on in the questions, although they're not aware of it. Is, you know, one person says if students have to purchase access codes to operate, you know, to get access to the content, you know, what's the point? I thought we were trying to reduce the cost to students. And another person says that polls still show that 70 to 75% of students want bound textbooks. So, you know, if you're trying to reduce, you know, if people want the bound textbooks, why is this, these e-courses being created? And, you know, the polls I'm reading is saying, well, that may be true. Fewer and fewer students are actually buying the textbooks, even if they're required. So there's a real conflict in the world out there with the students about what they want and what they're willing to do.
Right. Now, see, for the psychology course in Cengage, the students, if they wanted to, they could buy the paper copy of the textbook, but it's less than half the price for them to just buy the access code. And but they do have a choice. So if they wanted to buy the paper copy of the textbook, they can get that paper copy of the textbook. The history one, since that was created by someone and he had it all online, you can print the PDF. You know, so you could print your textbook if you so, you know, wanted a paper copy, but that one is basically an online textbook.
Right. Questions coming in here about a variety of things, about, you know, cheaper textbooks are available, etc. But we're trying to solve, you know, there isn't a single solution for everything. Cheaper checkbooks are just so useful, but I think the important thing here is the interactivity that is created is a lot more than a textbook can do. So it depends on what problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of the students don't like to read textbooks online because they are those big, long PDFs with just a lot of text. And that's the beautiful thing about SoftChalk is you're able to take that text and chunk it into very small chunks on each page. So it's not so overwhelming to be able to read that online. And I think that's where the biggest difference comes in.
Well, there are at least 3 or 4 people asking, imploring you to show them how you did that iframe trick again.
Okay, I can do that. All right, anytime, you know, if you have a website or something, you find the URL and you just copy that URL. And this is out there on the web. It's an HTML iframe code generator. You paste your code in here.
It's called www.htmlbasics.com.
Right, /iframe.shtml. You can choose your different sizes, and once you hit generate, it generates that code for you, and you just copy and paste that code. And in SoftChalk, I'll go to a SoftChalk here. You would insert widget, and I don't know if I copied that code. So select all, and pop up. Copy.
There you
okay.
Go.
There, and then you just hit paste code, and my computer's running really slow today. Oh.
Looks like it didn't get copied.
Yeah, somehow it didn't get copied, and I think that might actually be my Firefox, since I'm in Firefox, but it's not copying correctly.
Now you can do a control copy and see if that works. Control C.
And I have actually experienced this recently, and I don't know what it is, what has happened, because I've actually, the last time I did this, I typed the code in here because it wouldn't copy, and I'm not sure what's going on.
That's very strange.
Yeah, because I've been doing this for, I've used this for a while, and I'm not sure if it's a Firefox issue or if it's a...
Okay, but
that's, whenever you do it, you will see your example down here. If you don't have it sized right, you can go back and change your size, or you can change it right here in the code. But you'll see an example of what it is or what it would look like.
Somebody thinks that they've had Firefox issues lately, and they think that there's invaders causing those problems. Anyway, so that's basically the way it is done, and I think that's a wonderful way of bringing in all kinds of pages and just putting them inside of a SoftChalk lesson so that they're not wandering any place. One thing I always say when I'm giving a webinar or a workshop on SoftChalk is you want to keep your students right there in your pages, and you don't want them wandering off elsewhere. And this actually provides even yet another tool to make that easy to do.
Right, and you're keeping their site intact. You're not changing their site. You're not even, you're not claiming it as your own. So all you're doing is making it just easier for the students to be able to navigate.
Yeah, somebody's wondering whether all your work is worth it. And I think her preamble, or his preamble, was how can you monitor if students are actually using any of these interactive elements? And, the answer to that, I think, from my frame is that, sometimes you go on open a prayer, but also many of the interactive pieces, especially in SoftChalk, are graded, and those grades can go in the gradebook or other ways of getting information feedback. So you can actually make sure that the students are covering material by giving them some material that is graded and see how well they are doing. Right. I think you talked at least in part about that in one of the examples you gave in terms of trying to make sure that they understood what was going on. It may have been in my math lab one that you talked about that.
Yeah, and that was using the hotspot and asking them to click on the different areas on what they had learned.
And somebody says, yes, you can save these as SCORM files so that they go in the grade books. And there's a couple of ways to get to the Grade Center. SoftChalk actually offers their own Grade Center if you're using an LMS or not using an LMS and you want to save the grades. So there's all kinds of ways you can do that. I'm looking to see if there's questions that I've missed because we have spent most of our time here. And I think I'm pretty good to go. Let me take the screen back because I want to show people a couple of things. Several people have asked whether or not are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Whether or not this session is being recorded, and the answer is yes. This session is being recorded. The recording is still going on, and so it's catching all of these this dialogue. And this Innovators Online Learning Series, as I said, has been going on for 3 years, and we actually record the archives of it. So I'm going to go to our website and sort of show you that under the Demos tab, there's a lot of information here. In the Demos tab, you can go to the Online Demos, and the Online Demos, which is where we're at, includes not only general webinar introduction to SoftChalk, but our new product, SoftChalk Connect, is there as well. It's a learning object repository, and one of the places you can get more content for your lessons. And we have a partner webinar with Merlot coming up at the end of the month, and a couple of innovators. This is the one we're doing right now as we speak, and we have another one coming up next month. And just to show you, the archives are available as well. So the past ones that have been recorded are available here. We have the vignettes, which are just 5-minute versions of, well, 9-minute, 5 to 10-minute versions of the Innovator webinars that give you a really quick look at what's going on and what was discussed. We have sample lessons and case studies, information about a media repository, the SoftChalk Connect kind of media search. We have training that goes on. These hour-long courses are free, so you can sit down and sign up for this kind of information. We've got an excellent FAQ, and in fact, we have a variety of online resources, etc. as well. So I just want to give you all that kind of information about what we are and what we do. And as a last comment, somebody asked, is the recording audio only? No, of course not. We are recording everything that is on the screen. And if you want more information about SoftChalk, there's our phone number as well as sales general contact information. If you want to talk to me, you want to get information to me, just send me an email at steve@SoftChalk. If you have questions for Melissa, that is her email address. And one thing I love to make sure people know is that we have been the winner of 2 Cody Awards in the last 2 years. The Codys are like the Oscars of the software industry, and so we're really proud to have been the winner of 2 awards, Best Post-Secondary Instructional Solution and Best Educational Technology Solution for Productivity and Creativity, both in 2009 and 2010. So we just want to make sure that we have done a really good job, and we've been acknowledged by the industry, so we're very proud of that. There's a lot of people who are giving thank you for a really good job, and she's